Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Curb Appeal. Curb Appeal is brought to you by Keefe Real Estate. I'm Kurt Steven-Senes, and today we've got a fun guest and a very informative guest that I think you're going to all learn a lot from regarding the Illinois real estate market, and somebody who is with Keefe Real Estate and is a top agent in the Northern Illinois region, and specifically located in our office and her team office in Woodstock, Illinois. This is Kim Keefe, and we are super excited to bring you here today. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and we're glad you're here. It's great.
Thank you, Chris.
Really
Great
appreciate
to be
it.
here.
Yeah, so this is fun. And I wanted you to maybe start out by just talking a little bit about not so much your start in real estate, which would be good background, but also how you got so involved and in the industry, and some of the successes that you've had related to the different geographical areas that you've been working for a while in Northern Illinois. Just some background so people get to know you a little bit.
Well, it's a long history. As I start to feel like I'm coming in my 15th year in actually selling real estate.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure
It's
if
okay.
it was.
It's okay.
So, okay,
it's okay.
Good.
And it is kind of funny. My history with real estate really started from a top-down approach where I managed in a real estate franchise regional office.
Okay.
I was recruited to manage a local office and train and do systems and eventually recruit agents. And one day I came into the office and my boss said, "That's enough. You need to go sell real estate."
Saw some potential? Is that what it was? What?
I guess that's what it was.
Okay.
And so long story short, I should probably thank him at this point.
Yeah.
We've not really turned back from that. But my first role in just really trying to recruit agents was to learn more about it. And I really started to dig into the Real Estate Association and jumped on a committee, and things really escalated quickly from there.
Yeah.
And what I found is that I found out more about the industry. I was
Right.
better able to serve my clients as a result of my participation in the board level.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And let's touch on that experience, but also from the standpoint of being a realtor, but being highly involved in the industry down there in Illinois. I think it gives you a great perspective on a number of things. Let's talk a little bit about your business model and what it allows you to do, and then we'll speak a little bit to the Illinois marketplace, the areas that you serve, and then maybe some of the trends that you're seeing down there. So why don't we talk a little bit about the group that you represent, that you're the leader of, and where you folks focus on.
Sure. So I am the team leader of Team Open Doors. Yeah. And from day one, when I got into the business, I realized that the team concept was really important to me. Yeah. I really liked the idea of bouncing ideas off of somebody else, of having a great business that also allowed me time off. Yeah. And so early on, I remember knocking on a couple top producers' doors and saying, "What do you think? Can we partner up? Let's do this. We can really take this to another level." And both of them said, "Yeah,
not so much.
Not so much."
So what was their holdback?
They were, 2005. They were just rocking it on their own and
doing their own thing.
Right, happy.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we could do this better. With two great minds.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, one of those agents at least came back to me later and said, "So what do you think? You want to partner?"
Of course. Now you're going, yeah, not so much.
So I did it on my own for several years, and then just had this feeling that things were slipping through the cracks.
Yeah.
And I felt that it was in the best interest of my clients to have help and someone else to help answer the phone or to be able to show the property when it was needed and available to. Yep. So the team came about. I did start with an administrative assistant and then added a buyer's agent. And there were fits and starts with both positions.
Yeah, anytime you have employees, right? Yeah.
For sure. And in the end, I have one buyer's agent. I have one administrative assistant. I love them dearly. And together we have really been able to create a team that's focused on the client experience.
Yeah, right.
And answering every phone call we can and helping people get where they want to be.
Yeah, I think you do a tremendous amount of business, and hats off to you because you do have a wonderful team, the folks that work with Team Open Doors, and you do a lot of production, but I think the big thing is you can provide a high level of service, and that's where the repeat and referral business comes from. And that's how you want to build your business for sustainability, right? Right.
And as we looked at our company mission, it kind of always comes to you at a moment where you're like, why do we do this?
Yeah.
It's because we care.
Yeah.
And the light bulb went off or on, whichever.
Yeah.
And that's what we started basing every decision we made.
So, Kim, to continue on a little bit, we're going to touch on the trends in the marketplace down there in Illinois and Wisconsin and how that all is kind of integrating itself right now. But you touched on something that I thought was really important. And when I was in real estate, I ran a team as well. I thought there was some tremendous benefit in that, but depending on what your goals are, right? My question to you is, you've got a great team that does a lot of production, and you have literally one administrative assistant and a buyer agent. What was your decision-making process in who you hired first and second and/or why you're limited to that at this point? So I think that might be of some interest to our listeners.
Sure. So really the whole team started, adding to the team, I guess, as far as an administrative assistant was important, as I felt details were starting to slip through the cracks.
Okay.
And I'm very systematic for the most part.
Yeah.
It's a whole other topic. We use a value stream map process in mapping out where Kim needs to touch each aspect of the transaction and where Kim needs to back off.
Wow.
So that has really lent itself to picking and choosing the best tasks for each person on the team. And in my systematic, very checklist item, getting the mailing labels out on time and getting the sold sign, sticker on the sign, things like that started to fall through the cracks. And so that was a point where we just said, okay, I had a huge number of realtor contacts in my database already, and that was a huge part of my focus when I first started. And so I knew a lot of people. I knew people who were struggling in the industry at certain points in time, and so those were the first people that I reached out to help with assisting in the transaction management.
Right.
There are things from a very creative standpoint that I think I do very well, and so those are the things that I tend to keep on my calendar, and that's where the circle goes that Kim likes to take photos.
Yeah.
And Kim has a knack for taking photos, and so those are the things that I continue to do.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of the administrative being the first step. Showing houses, that got to be harder and harder to fill in all those blanks, and you could look at my calendar today and say, how do you get this done? It's with help. And so adding on the right team member was that second piece. And when I mentioned fits and starts, I've had members on the team that really wanted to be more partner oriented, and that has to evolve.
Yeah, right.
You can't hire a person and say, we'll just split this 50-50. It's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge layer of trust that has to be built.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so that is a process. And so my current buyer's agent is strictly that. She handles buyer appointments. She'll handle open houses when we do those.
Yeah.
And any of the listing leads that come out of those appointments are flipped over to me.
Yeah. That's interesting, and I'm not going to let this point go. This is really, we may not get to the other topic in this episode, but we're going to come back to it for sure about Illinois and Wisconsin. You had mentioned a word, and I think how you described it, I understood it, but I'd never heard of it before. But I understand its purpose. You said value stream. And a lot of team leaders struggle with the level of their involvement and where they should be involved because we like to control the whole transaction. And at some point you do have to step back or you can't leverage your time with your people and your customers effectively. So what is that term? Is that a process? Is that a system?
Yes.
What is that?
It comes from the manufacturing world.
Okay.
And the value stream process, the value stream map is really just a map of all the details, all the major checkpoints in a transaction.
Okay.
So if you start here with meeting a client for the first time, and it ends here with a closing,
Yeah.
there's all these tasks and milestones that have to be hit along the way.
Right.
And what's awesome about this map is it points out so succinctly that the start here and from when you actually get to close on the property, where things blow up mostly, are down here. So if you look at all of this time and energy and cost and emotion and challenge,
Yeah.
that it's in this very last section
Yeah.
where it might blow up.
Yeah.
So what can we do to avoid the blow up
Yeah.
part of a transaction so that we're more successful?
Yeah.
So that our clients are happier, our companies are happier,
Yeah.
I'm happier.
So in that small area is where you get involved by exception because that requires maybe more finesse, more negotiating, more
Sure. Yeah.
just experience. Yeah.
Yes and yes. And some of that comes from great planning up here.
Yeah, right.
And so if a home is going to blow up because of a home inspection issue,
Yep.
or not a home blowing up, but the process, or appraisal issue.
Right.
And as a skilled agent, I know that if this home is going to have trouble appraising, we might want to have it appraised ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
We might want to have a conversation about that.
Sure. So yeah, understanding the process as well as you do, setting the expectations with people so they know where this thing's going to move. It's no surprises, excuse me, at the end. And so you're really managing it, almost from a standpoint of avoidance at the beginning to know what could turn into a problem.
Exactly.
Down towards the end, that recognition.
Exactly.
So no, that's a great point. I've never heard that before.
Thank you.
So, and I was in manufacturing at one time.
Oh,
It must be new. I'm old. I don't know. So we'll figure
good
that
thing
out.
you're in real estate. It's good.
Yeah.
So to that point, though,
yeah.
on a small team, what's nice about the value stream process is that we know what needs to be done, and if Kim likes to take pictures and I'm the listing agent,
Yeah.
then that's where I'm taking that sticky note and that's where I'm going. But if someone on the team is great at graphic art, then my buyer's agent might create the property flyer.
Yeah.
Because that's a skill that she has.
Yeah.
And even though it's not a typical skill that
Yep.
she would do, it fits her capabilities, it fits her interests.
Yes.
And the whole team can evolve and grow and be happy.
Which is hugely important.
Long term.
It's hugely important that they feel like that they're not stagnant.
Exactly.
Especially in a dynamic business like real estate where, it seems like everybody else is dynamic because they're sales agents, but as an employee, that they're just doing repetitive things all the time. So I love that. Love the whole concept. I think you're doing a fantastic job of that. And I'm gonna take this right into your marketplace, but more specifically your marketplace, and that is you live in Rockford, Illinois. Your office is in Woodstock, Illinois, and I think people would be curious to find out like how you manage that distance. Do you do business from there to there, and what your maybe market specialty is? What you work in mostly.
Sure. So a good part of all podcast talk right here was kind of evolving around the "Love Where You Live" kind of slogan that we've adopted as well. It's another one of those light bulb moments where it's all about loving where you live, and does it make sense to make a move, and does it make sense not to move?
Right.
And so that's a very frank conversation that I'll have with clients all the time.
That's awesome. I love that.
And so I'm born and raised in Woodstock. My dad was a highway commissioner. I mean, we're there. We're embedded in that community. Loved it, came back to it. And for just life situation, I was kind of tugged over to the Rockford area. And what happened was I loved where I lived.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
so
Take your own advice.
I did.
Take
I
your own
did.
advice, yeah.
Which is where that came on my deck.
And it's easy to ignore, but you can't ignore that.
Exactly. So the plan was always to come back to Woodstock to find the perfect house place.
Yeah.
We almost built a house on the edge of the park, and then just sat back and said, you know what, I love this place. Yeah. We love this place.
That's
so
great.
We're not going to do that. So early on, I've been doing the commute now for I think 8 years, maybe 9 years now, and early on, I used to say that I could get 2 phone calls to family members on the way back, or about 8 client calls. So I would use that time in the car. It's a very easy commute, very easy drive, and I could use that time to really just follow up on things. Well, that too, as the business has evolved, the team has evolved,
Yeah.
everything's evolved, and
Yeah.
I have a little more time, and so I found myself just listening to spa radio back and forth.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Spa radio. That'll chill you out for
It's
that'll
great.
chill you out for a hectic real estate day that you have coming right at you
Exactly.
momentarily. Let me ask you this: your average price point?
We're right at about 200,000 for price point, some
Okay.
lower, some
Okay.
higher.
All right.
We've helped folks, with rental properties, especially those folks that need help
Yep.
the most.
Yep.
We've not wanted to turn that away just to be assistant.
Okay. That's about it, I guess. I wanted to, we're going to save it for another episode. I think it's most important because we've got a lot more to talk about. Good with a wrap, but I really appreciate you coming. This was really fun.
Thank
It was
you.
really fun.
Thank you, Chris.
So
That was
you're
fun, too.
welcome. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful episode of Curb Appeal in our meeting with Kim Keefe, a real estate agent in Woodstock, Illinois. We hope to see you next time, and that won't be far from now. Thanks, everyone.